So, welcome to another episode of Shadespire Tactics.
Yes.
And today we will compare warbands. And first off, the tougher warbands.
Yes, the four tougher warbands.
Yeah, and
we have put the fast riders in amongst the squishy warbands, not because they're particularly squishy, because they actually have quite good defense.
Yeah.
But they don't have hard-hitting attacks such as these four do.
Yeah, so maybe it's not a toughness based, but
more
aggression based or something like that. But I'm pretty sure you can agree on this division. Yeah. So we will compare the stats, and we will not go into the faction specific cards that much, because now there are so many universal cards. So even if your faction card sucks, then you can still make a great deck.
Yes, you can.
So we are comparing stats, and of course we will inspire them in a second.
Yeah.
So first off, the leaders: 7 Steelheart, starting out with range 1 attack for 2 hammers and 3 damage. And that is exactly the same as Gothic and the same as Fjolgrimnir. Mcore, on the other hand, has a range 1 attack, 2 hammers, and only 2 damage, but it has cleave, so slightly less impressive. But
only ever so slightly.
Yeah.
That's they are very comparable, so yeah,
across the board.
But then we go to the lower stats, where there's a bit more of a difference between the three.
Mm-hmm.
So 7 Steelheart starts out with his movement of 3, defending on 1 shield, and 4 wounds.
Yes.
Here, Gothic, on the other hand, has an extra wound. Has 5 wounds, which makes him slightly better than 7 Steelheart, because also movement 3 and defending on 1 shield.
And there are not many attacks doing 5 damage.
No.
No.
There are none unless you play some upgrades on.
Yeah, there are none yet.
None yet, of course. Then we have Fjolgrimnir, who's also down to 4 wounds, but he only has a movement of 2.
And of course that is, well, his
huge
problem.
Yeah, that's a huge drawback.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, and then there's Mcore, who has
the same as Severin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they are very comparable. Fjolgrimnir definitely loses out because of his movement, and Gothic definitely wins because of his wounds. So all in all, in their uninspired state, I'd say Gothic is the better leader due to his 5 wounds, and Fjolgrimnir is definitely the worst due to his 2 movement.
And if you should rank them, it would be Gothic, Severin, Mcore, Fjolgrimnir, because of the attack.
But this is in their uninspired state, so let's inspire them.
It's not over yet. And now they are less similar.
Yes.
So Steelheart now has 2 attacks.
Yep.
Yes. First one, both have range 1. But the first one hitting on 2 hammers for 3 damage.
Which is the exact same as he had before he inspired.
Yes. And Mighty Swing as an add-on.
Yep. 2
hammers for 2 damage, but it has the ability to hit all enemies. Yep. Adjacent enemies, of course.
Yes.
Yes. Gothic. 1, 2, 3 on hammers. So
it's the same as the uninspired version, so...
It is. But he can now reroll 1 die when he makes his attack.
So, a definite better attack than Steelheart, but Steelheart does have the Mighty Swing where I can attack everyone.
I've never really used that, but of course
very rare for me. It's been rare for me to use that as well.
I haven't played Liberators that much, though. Yeah. Fjolgrimnir, inspired, so range 1. And 2 hammers, 4 damage, and cleave.
Yes.
So that is
the
heavy
best
hitter.
That is the best attack in the game.
Yes, it's awesome.
So far.
Yeah, so far with these 8 releases, or well, 7 really.
Yeah.
So, and then there is Mcore. So range 1 and 2 hammers for 3 damage and cleave.
Yes.
So better than his before inspired attack.
Yeah.
But and definitely a great attack, but less than Fjordgrimnir.
Yeah, but very comparable to Gersak's. With Gersak has a reroll,
Yes.
Mcore has cleave. I'm not even sure what I'd prefer. I mean, of course, the reroll can be used against any opponent, whereas cleave only works on people defending on shields.
Which is 5.5 warband.
Yeah, something like that.
So it's not as rare as it
No, as it used to be.
Yeah, exactly. But the reroll can be used for combos.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well. And then there are the lower stats.
Yeah.
Movement of 3, defending on 2 shields, which of course is awesome.
Yeah.
And 4 wounds. 3, 1, 5, so 1 less die, of course, but still shields, and of course the toughness of 5. Which is exactly the same as Fjordgrimnir.
Yes, who all of a sudden got an extra move.
Yeah.
And an extra wound.
And an extra wound, yes.
So
he definitely benefits. 1 attack, and you want to inspire him.
Oh yeah.
And of course, we'll get to that, but there is the inspire condition as well.
And then we have Mcore, who also gains a movement, so he now has move 4, making him faster than the other heavy-hitting leaders, and then still defending on 1 shield and 4 wounds. But I'd say the ones who get the most out of inspiring are definitely Fjordgrimnir and Mcore. Yes, they both get movement. They both get a damage as well, so they get. Of course, Fjordgrimnir also gets a wound.
Yes, I'm not that impressed with the extra attack of Steelheart, but please note below if you disagree.
Yeah, but he does get an extra shield.
Yeah, and
that's
we all know that's a shield we want.
Yes.
So, across the board, well, they are now so different that it depends on tactics.
I'd say once they're inspired, I'd say that Fjordgrimnir is the better leader, because that attack is horrendous.
Yeah, and now he has the same movement.
And he's not all that slow.
No.
Of course, Mcore does have more movement and has a really good attack as well. 3 damage and cleave is very good as well.
Yes. So, on to the Kingmakers.
Yeah.
Yes.
The second in command.
The second in command. I think we will remove these.
Yes.
So, we have... No?
No? Where did he?
Where did he go? We'll find him.
Yeah.
Here is Bonecutter. Here's Tefk. And...
Gothic, and where did... He was here a minute ago.
Alright.
That was a shortcut there. Oberon decided to try and
Leave
desert.
the table. Let's see if he has reason to do so.
Yeah.
So, range 1.
Yep.
And hitting on 2 hammers for 3 damage. Great attack.
With knockback.
With knockback 1.
Yeah.
And 1, 2, 2. So less damage output and no knockback.
Yeah. So
definitely the better one. Then there is Tefk.
Yeah.
2 attacks, 2 different attacks.
Yes.
So both range 1. Brazier Axe hitting on 2 hammers for 2 damage, and the other one 3 hammers for 1 damage.
Yeah.
So
it's if you only need to do 1 damage, it's more reliable hit. So
of course it is, and the first attack is comparable to Bonecutters.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then there is Gothic. Flay Skull. So also 2 different attacks, both range 1. The first hitting on 2 hammers for 2 damage, and
the other being a reaction attack.
Yeah, Gore Fist.
Yeah.
So only 1 dagger, only 1 damage, but it is a reaction.
When somebody fails an attack against him, and also he can never be driven back.
Yes, and that is great.
Yeah.
And for the lower stats, movement of 3 across the board, except the dwarves.
Yeah.
Yes, and
1 shield across the board.
And 4 wounds across the board.
Again, except
against. Yeah.
The dwarf again gets left out there.
They do.
So, all in all, I'd say the better attack is on Oberyn.
It is.
3 damage and knockback. That's a really good one. Tefk, attack-wise, is... It's a nice add-on he has, that 1 damage, but it's very situational. The Gorefist, it is as bad an attack as attacks go. An attack cannot be any worse than this, but it is a reaction attack when somebody fails an attack against him, and also the fact that he cannot be driven back can be huge.
Yes. Also, and I think this is underrated, it is a reaction.
Yes.
And because it is a reaction, it means that the attacker can't play a reaction card.
That is also true.
So there's something there.
Yeah.
Yes. So let's inspire them, shall we?
Yeah.
Open. Whoops. Bonecutter trying to desert as well. Tefk and Gothic.
Yeah.
Alright. So still 2 attacks.
He retains the early attack, exactly the same, but he also gets the overhead strike, which is the exact same attack, but with cleave instead of knockback.
Yeah. So
which is...
that's sweet, of course.
That is a good upgrade.
So you can choose.
Yeah.
And that, yeah. It's a great tool to have.
Bonecutter gets bumped up to 3 damage.
Yes.
Which is... not as good, because it's the same attack as Oberyn, but without either knockback or cleave, so...
Yeah, well... So.
Yeah.
And then there's Tefk.
Yes.
1/3/3, hitting on hammers.
Yeah.
That's a great attack.
Yes. And also...
And it's a more reliable attack than Phil Grimnir.
And if he crits, there's cleave.
Oh yeah, there is cleave and the crit.
So... And with 3 dice,
exactly.
That's a good chance of scoring at least 1 crit. And
it's definitely plausible.
So I'd say that is at least as good as Oberyn's 2 hammers with cleave or knockback he can choose for 3 damage. He has the extra die and cleave on a crit. I'd say he's slightly better.
And then there is Gothic and his 2 attacks, 2 different attacks. First one, range 1, hitting on 3 hammers for 2 damage, and of course the 1/1, so it's easier with the swift Gorefist.
But which is still the reaction attack.
Yeah, and it is still on daggers.
It's still but 2 dice, but also but looking across
a bonus.
But it's only 2 damage output. On his main attack, compared to the other guys, 3. Yeah. That is...
that's low for a heavy-hitting warband.
It is, but yeah.
But then again, yes, they are a heavy-hitting warband, but they also have the movement, so they are...
Once they inspire, though.
Once they inspire, exactly. But, well, and they don't.
Yeah.
But they have something else that
they do.
These 2 don't have. Yes, the lower stats.
Yes.
A movement of 3 across the board.
Except for
Gothic, who has 4, which we just mentioned. And of course, it's the same with the defense die.
Oberyn has the 2 shields. The other guys want 1. Making him.
Yeah, that's of course
that's what they do.
That's what they do.
And then they have 4 wounds, all of them.
Yeah.
So I'd say on this one, it's a bit tough. Tefk has the better attack, but the 2 shields on Oberyn does put him slightly in the lead. Also, Gartok's not being able to be pushed back. I say, even though he has a lower damage output, I'd still take Gartok over Bonecutter. He has a movement.
Yeah.
And he has to not being pushed back.
Exactly.
And that reaction thing that
and Bonecutter is definitely...
losing out here.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, that was the Kingmakers.
Yes.
And... of course, now it's getting a bit fuzzy. Because...
yeah. Who is the
who
third
are
best?
the henchmen here?
Definitely say that... well, for Steelheart champions, it's easy. But... yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not quite... is she a henchman, really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Henchwoman, henchperson.
No, but her stats are not that low.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
yeah, let's look at it. Range 1, hitting on 3 hammers, great attack for 2 damage.
Yes.
Less damage output.
But good for a third person.
Definitely, because then there is Hacker.
Yeah.
So range 1, 2 daggers, 1 damage.
Yeah.
Oh, that's low.
But does get the crit on a cleave.
Cleave on a crit.
A cleave on a crit, that's... yeah.
But yeah, 1-2-1 is not impressive.
No.
No. And then there is 1-2 on hammers.
Yeah.
And no special moves. And
then we have Sarkis.
Sarkis. And he has the Gore Fist as well, the reaction.
Yeah.
And he has his main attack, range 1, hitting on 2 hammers for 2 damage with knockback 1.
Yes.
So
that is better than the dwarf.
Definitely better than the dwarf, and well, it depends on what you prefer.
Yeah, but also point to it. While Sarkis can get knocked back, he can not get knocked back with a failed attack.
True.
So
yes,
there's that.
There's that. For the lower stats, movement of 3, except the dwarf.
Yep.
All defending on 1 shield across the board, and 4 wounds except the dwarf.
Again. Which means Vol definitely loses quite a bit out, although Haga's, I'd almost say terrible attack, is, I'd say, would be putting those two pretty much on line, except for that the dwarf is lacking both a wound and a move.
Especially, Haga is better in Wall than Wall. I would definitely say so, because it is both movement and toughness. And yes, the attack sucks, but it...
But I think Sarkis actually is slightly better than Angarat. She does have a 3-die attack compared to the 2. He has knockback and the Gore Fist.
And the Gore Fist, but of course, when we inspire them, then
Angarat will probably... but let's try that.
Let's inspire. Without any of the fighters escaping this time, hopefully. So...
yeah.
Bright Shield?
Yeah, her attack didn't... her main attack did not improve at all, but she does get a reactionary attack. The Furious Parry, which is on hammers, but only for 1 damage, and 2 dice on hammers for 1 damage. And again, it's reliable, but it's only 1 damage. And you still need your opponent to fail an attack against her, which could very easily happen with her defense, but still. Yeah. So it's very it's actually the same thing as the Gore Fist on Sarkis, with slightly better stats. Yeah, with 2 hammers instead of 2 daggers. Yeah. But then we have Haga. Haga? It's the same attack, but it is on daggers. But he really improved. It's the same, same attack. But Haga actually improved his attack a lot by inspiring, because 1 extra die to the attack and 1 extra damage. That is definitely a bonus. And still has, because 3 dice, then the cleave on a crit is actually pretty good. Yeah. Then there's Wall. Yeah. Knockback 1, range 1, hitting on 2 hammers for 3 damage.
Yeah.
Very, very solid attack for a third guy.
And exactly the same attack as their second guy. As the second in command or kingmaker or whatever you will call it. So,
no, it isn't.
It is no, it's one less hammer.
Yeah.
Yes, that is true.
But then the Sarkis.
Yeah, and 1/3/3 on hammers.
No, 1/3/2.
Oh, they're opposite. Yes.
He still does less damage.
But it's quite reliable.
Yeah, and has
3
knockback.
hammers. Yeah.
And then
of
he has
course
the
the
same.
swift gore fist.
Yeah.
Yes, we know that by now.
Yeah.
So movement 3 across the board, except Sarkis.
Yeah.
And of course, defending on 1 shield, except
for
Bright Shield.
And then
4 wounds.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting here is the Gore Fist and the Furious Parry are very, very comparable. The Furious Parry is on hammers, which is better than on daggers, so that's a bonus for Bright Shield. Also, since it's a reaction when somebody fails an attack, and since Bright Shield defends on 2 dice instead of 1 die, that makes it even better.
Yeah.
So a whole lot better reactionary attack. But he does have knockback on his primary attack and an extra move. So I still say Bright Shield is like better than him, as she should be. Whereas Haka and Vol,
they are only 3.
Yeah, Vol is, I'd say, is definitely better than Haka. So it'll definitely be Haka loses completely out on this one once they're inspired. Vol, so it would be definitely Haka, Vol, Sarkis, and then Bright Shield being the best third person. But that's when that would bring us to the 4th member of the gang, where I'm pretty sure 7 Steelhearts champions will lose out quite a bit.
Because the Liberators do not have a fourth member of the warband. So, Basha, comparable to Haka.
Yeah.
We had
but only has knockback instead of cleave on a crit.
Yeah, and we decided that cleave was better than knockback.
Yeah.
So, but 1/1 on daggers, and Matt Magrim has 1/3/1 on daggers.
Yeah.
So more reliable. And over here, Riptooth 1/3/2
on daggers.
And daggers.
And
but, of course, there is cleave if you crit.
Yeah.
But this fighter cannot have upgrades, which are attack actions.
No.
So it can have upgrades that
provide extra move or does more damage or whatever.
Just can't have attacks.
Yeah. So basically.
Yeah, no hands.
No weapons.
and I don't think that is that much of a drawback.
It's really not a drawback.
And it's well, it's a great attack, so no need. Exactly. So when it comes to this, definitely.
Yeah, Riptooth is way ahead. But let's look at the lower stats as well.
Yeah, well, even there, but
no.
Yeah. So movement of 3, movement of 2, movement of 4.
Yeah, Riptooth wins out on move, but then there's a defense.
Yeah. Basha and Magrim both defense on 1 shield, and of course Riptooth 1 dodge, and that is of course the worst defense you can have. So toughness, 4 wounds, 3 wounds, 4 wounds.
Yeah.
Riptooth is not defensive.
No, but Riptooth, that's definitely say this comparison, Riptooth wins out flat out.
Yep.
That attack is awesome. It has 4 movement. That's a lot. It has the 4 wounds, where Matt Magrim only has 3 until he inspires, or if he ever does.
There is that.
I'd definitely say like Riptooth is definitely the better one, it's pure stat wise, but Matt Magrim and Basha are very comparable. No, not really.
The lowest stats. I would say Basha and then Magrim.
Yeah. So again, the dwarves are put very much
so, because this is the 4th guy.
Yeah.
Will he ever inspire?
Well, we get to that later on. Let's say he did.
Let's say he did. Yes. Basher, 1-3-2.
Yeah.
So a better attack and still knockback on crits. Megrim, 1-3-2. Exactly the same, but
Can
reroll 1 attack die when he makes an attack action.
which is good.
Which is good.
Especially if you can play him an upgrade that allows him to do stuff on critical hits, because
Yes.
3 dice and a reroll.
With 3 dice, there are definitely a chance of critting.
Yeah, and
Better
a
chance.
reroll means in all practicality it's actually 4 dice
Yeah.
for rolling a crit.
Yeah. So I'd say that is definitely a better attack
Oh,
than
yeah.
the knockback one. And then there is Riptooth.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1-3-3 on daggers. That is a damage output for number 4 guy.
Yes.
That is quite impressive.
And still cleave on...
And still cleave on crits.
Yeah.
So that is 1 attack.
Yeah.
That is...
That's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there are the lower stats.
Yes.
So 3-1-4 on shields and 3-1-4 on shields. But 5 movement, 2 defense die on dodge,
Yeah.
which is okay,
Yeah.
and 4 wounds.
Yeah.
I'd say Riptooth
Oh, wait.
is the winner.
Yeah, hands down winner, because that's... I mean, 5 move doesn't really get better than that. 2 dodge is better than 1 shield. Mm-hmm. So, and that awesome attack is... Riptooth is...
Hands down the best fighter,
Yeah.
even though he can't have weapons.
Yeah, so on
Why
this,
would you ever give him one? He
Yeah.
has a great attack.
Yeah, so on this one I'd definitely say the Riptooth, the better one, Dwarf, 2nd place,
Yeah.
the Orc 3rd, and of course Steelheart Champions is definitely 4th on this one.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure because of the Inspire
Yeah,
condition.
we'll get
I
to
think
that.
I would prefer Basher over Megrim. Because there's a chance that he will actually inspire where
Yeah, very
Megrim...
good chance he'll inspire.
Will you use an activation to actually move him if you can,
Yeah.
and so on.
And how many objectives do you... That's the thing. The inspire conditions for these 4 warbands are very, very different.
Yeah. So of course, Steelhearts, the Liberators, they have to...
They have to successfully defend. That means somebody needs to attack them, and then they need to roll a shield or a crit on their defense, which is a 50-50 chance.
So, but if your opponent is non-aggressive,
Yeah.
you have it. You're dependent on your opponent's play.
But of course,
yeah.
if your opponent is non-aggressive for Steelheart Champions,
Then you
don't
really
really need to inspire, because the main upgrade you get from inspiring is an extra defense die.
Yeah, you don't get movement. You don't get so.
And they don't even increase their damage output that much by inspiring. So
No, that is true.
So they don't really need to get inspired except for defending. So, yeah.
Then there are the Orcs or the Orcs.
Yeah.
They have the easiest inspire condition
In the game. Yeah.
So, taking damage.
Yeah.
And with 4 to 5 wounds, then they can actually take damage without getting in the zone where they are easy.
Yeah.
Take
and I mean, there's even a card now where you just 1 damage to everyone, and all Orcs inspire.
Yes. It is the all Orcs inspire card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's tons of other ploy cards where you can deal 1 damage to your own fighters.
Yes.
So,
and not only ploy cards, actually, there are even upgrades. So, yes.
They inspire very easily, and they actually gain quite a bit on the attack from inspiring.
Yes.
They don't get anything defensively at all.
No.
But they do get much better attacks by inspiring, and they inspire very easily.
Yeah. Then there are
the Dwarfs.
The Dwarfs.
They have the for them the toughest inspire condition in the game, because they actually have to stand on an objective in an end phase.
Yeah.
Meaning they can only inspire in end phases, and you only have 2 of those.
Yes.
And
if you
it's very easy for your opponent using ploy cards to push them off.
By now there are a lot of ploy cards.
I think most decks will have at least a card or 2 that can change the positioning of the opponent.
At least you have a sidestep and such cards. But I'm not quite sure about the last card. You know, what was it called? Not Hurricane. Earthquake.
Earthquake, yeah.
Earthquake. I'm not quite sure it will be that frequent in tournament games now with the artifacts.
Yeah.
You can't counter everything.
No.
So you have to counter the meta, and if the meta is the artifacts, then you will go that way.
But there's a good chance if you're playing the Dwarfs that you only have 2 objectives. That's a 50-50 chance that you only have 2 objectives in your board half from the beginning, which means that you can only count on putting 2 of your fighters on objectives, and there's a good chance that one of them will get pushed off by your opponent. So that's actually only 1 dwarf reliably inspired in the first end phase, then another one in the second end phase, and then the game's over.
Yeah. And yes, they have great stats besides the movement.
But only if your opponents want to fight them, because they're very easy to stay out of range of as well. And you're only gonna have 2, maybe 3 dwarfs inspired during the entire game, so you're gonna have
so that movement 3 may not never happen.
Yeah.
But if you are playing against an aggressive opponent, then they will come to you, and it won't really be that much of a problem. Then you only need to fetch some early glory, and that is definitely
inspire
possible.
your leader.
Yeah, and please inspire your leader, because that is definitely
but
the
if you
best
can't
leader in the game.
if you can't inspire him, then your second in command, what's his name, Tefk, will definitely be a good candidate as well.
Yeah, they have great fighters, but the Inspire condition is tricky.
Very tricky.
I think it depends on the meta. If you, as of now, it looks like the tournament meta across the world is kind of aggressive.
Yes.
And then you can, somewhat reliably count on your opponent playing aggressively, and then it might not be that much of a problem.
If your opponent needs to kill you to gain glory points, then he will come to you. But if your opponent actually just needs to collect glory from positioning and stuff like that, then you are in deep trouble.
Yes.
Then we have Magore's Fiends.
Yes.
The Inspire conditions comparable to Steelheart champions, except that they are in control.
Yeah.
They need to make a successful attack.
They are the agents. They decide for themselves.
Yeah. And their uninspired versions actually have some pretty good attacks.
Yeah.
2 dice across the board, except for Riptooth actually on 3 dice.
Yeah.
And all
they have great attacks. They will inspire.
They might not deal out as much damage on the attack as some of the other hard hitters.
But then they inspire.
But even when they inspire, they do have less damage output. It's only the leader who's got a 3 attack, but they have very reliable attacks. And Riptooth. But
it's and daggers, yes.
They do have reliable, fairly reliable attacks, so they will inspire fairly easily. And remember, only inspired liberators will actually have the 2 defense die.
Yes.
So most opponents will only defend on 1 die, and then and that's a 50-50 chance, whereas you get at least 2 dice with 50-50% chances. So
there are no doubt in my mind that among the heavy hitters or the tough guys or whatever you'll call them, Magore's Fiends is the best warband
Stat-wise, they definitely are. The only ones who are stat-wise, well, the dwarfs do have better attack stats, but that low movement is going to hurt them. Steelheart champions has comparable attack stats, slightly better, but only 3 guys.
Yes. So
and the orcs, well.
Let's compare the orcs and Steelheart.
Yeah.
Because they are somewhat comparable. They are 3 guys and these are 4, and that makes the whole difference.
Yeah.
Really.
Because, I mean, Steelheart champion does have the better stats across the board.
Yeah.
They do.
It's not that much of a difference.
It's only the leader amongst the orcs who has the 5 wounds, otherwise they're 4, the same as Steelheart champions. Steelheart champions defends on 2 shields.
Yeah, there is that.
They have the same movement. Yeah. Steelheart champions have slightly better attacks.
They do? I'm not quite sure I agree on that.
Because you have Steelheart.
1, 2, 3... Yeah.
Like
okay,
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yes.
Actually, so.
Yeah. Gersak does have a slightly better main attack, but then Seven Steelheart does have his all the way round attack, which is situational but can be very, very good, and he does win flat out on the defense.
Yeah. And 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 with knockback or cleave.
Yeah.
And 1, 3, 2, but daggers and 1, 3, 2. So
and hammers.
Yes.
And
they are better.
They do have better stats, but they are missing a person.
Yeah.
And especially that 4th person can mean a lot, because the orcs can use all of their activations for charges. If you use your activations for charges with Steelhearts, you're gonna have an extra activation where you can only draw a card.
True. And with the Inspire condition taken into account, then I'd say
the orcs.
The orcs actually win this.
Yeah, they do.
This matchup. But of course, we know we haven't talked about the faction-specific cards, and there are some objective cards that can, well, at least make a certain playstyle available to some of the weaker warbands. But I'd say Mcore.
Yeah.
And then Gothic.
Yeah.
Then Steelheart, and then
the dwarfs.
The dwarfs,
but only
in certain
matchups, because the dwarfs cannot do anything against a defensive warband.
Yeah, it is because they are. Well, you don't know what you're gonna get up.
Yeah, your game is gonna get dictated by your opponent all the time.
Yeah, and that is just too random, really.
Yeah.
So. That was it for now?
Yeah.
Yes. And in another video we will talk about the, let's call them squishier warbands, and I'm pretty sure
the other 4.
I'm pretty sure the fast riders will hate me for that.
Yeah. Well, the trixier warbands.
The trixier warbands, yeah. Take care and bye bye.
Bye bye.